So good morning, Matt. Good morning, everyone. We're back on a Monday morning for a SportsFX update. How are you?
Really well, mate. Big weekend. It's been a big week actually, and as we know, getting into it today, there's a lot going on across the globe in terms of little touch points or push points in terms of what currencies might do. So yeah, why don't we just move straight into that now and talk through what we know is happening in market.
Definitely. I'll bring up a quick snapshot of the week. We'll run through a couple of charts, and then we've got a couple of case studies, three separate ones that we're just sort of talking about quickly in regards to the situations we've faced this week and, the outcomes of that, which I think will just be helpful for certain people. So I'll give you a quick look at where are we? Last week. So if you have a quick look at, this is last week's Forex Factory calendar, right? As we said, there wasn't a lot of news, bit of high tier news. But if you look at last week and how many announcements there are, and then this is this week, probably double. So we've got a big week coming up in regards to what's happening in the markets, and this is all across the board. So started this morning or yesterday, we had some Chinese CPI figure came out negative. So that'll potentially have a negative effect throughout the next few days on the Australian dollar. Moving into Monday, not a lot. We've got the RBNZ. They did cut interest rates by 50 basis points last week. It was expected, so we didn't see a huge move in the New Zealand dollar against the Aussie. It sort of went back to where we thought it might. This week, however, we've got, moving into Tuesday, we spoke about the Canadian dollar being at 18-month highs. So that's got CPI figures coming out Tuesday evening. So that'll have an effect there. Wednesday, CPI from both New Zealand and the UK. Big figures, the CPI then has a knock-on effect to the interest rates. So these are really key on how these come out. Thursday, huge day. We've got the president of the ECB talking about their interest rates. So we've got Australian unemployment figures. We've got the refinancing rate out of Europe, monetary policy statement. And then we move over to the US. We've got retail sales and unemployment claims. And then coming into Friday, retail sales from China, retail sales from the UK, and a couple of sort of FOMC people chatting about what's been happening, with their interest rate decisions. So from that point of view, huge week in regards to news. How does that affect you as an athlete or someone moving money? Well, you don't have to be following this news in and out. What our job is to make you aware of this is going to be probably a volatile week. So if you do have some things to do, speak to your foreign exchange broker, speak to ourselves, and just say, look, this is what I need to do. This is my time frame. How do we just manage, risk in the best way?
100%. And as we saw last week, while there wasn't great movements across the currency pairs we've been talking about, the sort of levels that we thought would be hit were hit. It sort of demonstrates where that flow piece comes in, and it's just a good idea just to make contact with your broker and just get the general information and general advice, if you like.
And I'll bring up a couple of our charts here just to have a quick look. So we'll start with the Aussie US, and as we said, these were the ones we've spoken about this now for probably a month or so. But bouncing off that 69 level, and it did try to push through, and it failed, and now we're back at sort of 67.30. Given that the Chinese data coming out this morning and potential employment claims later in the week, it wouldn't surprise me if we maybe fell slight bit lower. But if anything, you've kind of missed the boat on the 69. We did get a few forwards locked in, which was great. But that's why when we look at things like this, and it's always general advice, it's always up to you what you do with it. But if we've bounced off this a few times, more than likely it's potentially going to reject again. Can we lock in a little bit up here? And if it does drop down, you've got some bought in and pre-bought for you to manage your costs. So the quick run through, they all look the same actually when you look at the Aussie chart. So here's the Aussie Canadian. It's sort of bounced up again. It's had a sell-off and we've had a little bit of recovery. Aussie Euro's done exactly the same. It bounced off that 62.40 level as we spoke about, and then it's done the same. 3 or 4 days of drop-off, a little bit of sideways action. The pound, when you look at that, it's doing the same thing. Bit of a run-up, bit of a sell-off, and a bit of sideways action. Japanese yen, again, as we said, going off last week, it's pretty much just gone sideways at 100. So it's not really going anywhere so far. Aussie New Zealand, that was the day. So this big green candle, that was the interest rate cut over in New Zealand. So the Aussie took a bit of a boost. But again, it hasn't hasn't shot off. Normally, if a country was to cut 50 basis points, you'd see a huge run, but it was priced in. That's what they were expecting, so you didn't really see much of a move. That's pretty much it. Pound, we've looked at Aussie pound, but pound, Aussie coming back the other way. Same thing. It sort of had a bit of a drop off, a couple of days recovery, but overall pretty sideways. Still in that 193 region, give or take, sort of bouncing up and down. So yeah, this is the week where I think we'll see a bit more movement off the back of all this news. But yeah, for now, a little bit sideways. We've got a fair few deals done last week at good levels for people. Taking a bit of risk off the table before a big week of news this week.
No, exactly right. And that's probably not a bad segue into having a bit of a chat around some of the trades we did this week and some of the advice that we gave to different clients, both in the sports sphere and outside, where we could help and where we couldn't help.
Yeah, so a good example of one, and something that's sort of worked on over a long period of time, is first question you always get asked when people ring you up is, what's your rate? They want to know, what's the rate? Second question is, where's it going? But the main one, what's the rate? Everyone obviously wants to make sure that they're getting the most for their money. Now, I always say this to people: every foreign exchange broker out, someone's always going to undercut you. At some point, they'll want to just do deals. I'm not buying into that anymore. We provide a level of service that goes above and beyond, and if you've got to pay a little bit more for it, so be it. We won't apologise about that. We've had one last week, an inheritance, £60,000 coming out of the UK. They've probably paid $300 more, with ourselves than through an online broker. They got $300 less, over here in Australian dollars. Now, when you compare it rate to rate, $300 is $300. But the backstory to that is, over the last 2 months, I've probably spent 7 or 8 phone calls with this person, 7 or 8 emails between myself, them, and their brother and their lawyer, to make sure that we've got all the right paperwork in place. We've done a test payment to make sure they're comfortable with funds coming in, funds going out. We've done a small $1,000 test payment, and keeping them up to date with what's been happening with the pound Aussie over the last 2 months, where it's been, where it's going, what news might affect it. So we finally got the deal done on Friday. They compared us, side by side with someone else. As I said, we were $300 less in Australian dollars, but they were happy to pay it from the last 2 months of phone calls, emails, service, updates, and a follow-up call this morning to let them know that, funds should have arrived and how it all goes. So when you're talking about amounts like that, a $300 difference is maybe 0.2% of the overall amount. And I think for the amount of service and value you get, definitely worth it. And as I said, people will always undercut you, but I think if you stay strong with your service levels and back yourself with the amount of attention to detail that you'll give clients, it's a price worth paying, in my opinion.
I think, you're talking to the converted here, mate. You know my view on that. But I think what it does demonstrate too, and we'll show this shortly with a couple of other examples, that be it sport or be it just in the layman, if you like, trades are bespoke. Everyone has a different need, wish, and want. You're right, price is always going to be right up there and about. But having the ability to pick up the phone, send an email, have that immediate contact with us, and we work them slowly through the process. So for us, it's just not about the sell into the rate, into the trade, and then move on to the next. It's about that relationship. It's about the customer, that client journey, if you like, to make sure that's all set up right, so that when the trades are done, they're 100% happy. And as you say, they might pay a little bit more, but in the overall scheme of things, it's nothing. And they're quite happy then to, one, accept that, and then to refer us to other members of family, friends, and so forth, because of that level of service that's provided in the transaction. Yeah,
no, 100%. So that was a good one from last week, and again, it's years ago I would have I'd panic and you'd rate match, but not anymore, because there's no point. You can't be doing things for nothing, and as you say, you have to put a bit of value on the service you give. And it's the same whether you go to a lawyer, accountant. Everyone will charge different fees. Mortgage brokers, you'll get different rates, but you have to feel like it's value for money, I think, overall. And So that was a good one. It was a good sort of test case and case study for last week.
100%. And the next one, I guess, is around one where we actually couldn't do the trade per se for the client, for the athlete, but inside of that was still a level of service and support, and then referral on to someone else who might be able to help them. So that's probably a good one to talk about as well.
Yeah, so I've had a player reach out. So they're in a simple transfer on paper, US to Aussie. Money sitting in a US account. A US dollar account coming into Australian dollars. Not a huge amount, but looks straightforward. But it's the country and the high risk nature of certain countries around the world and how they're viewed from a compliance point of view. So our banking provider and we checked too. Sort of gave it, no, sorry, it's on our red flag list. It's not a country we want to touch. Money being earned there, and this is in and around the Russian-Ukraine area of the world. Obviously, high risk, a lot of politics, a lot of issues at the moment. So I just went back and said, look, very sorry, we're unable to do it, but I have found a provider that I think will potentially take it on or at least look at it for you. And so, worst case scenario, they'll just have to send it through their bank. As I said, it's not a huge amount, so it'll be a couple $100 of difference. Probably more convenient, in all honesty, when you're dealing in that side of the world around compliance and the documents you would need. But happy again, gave them a call, just say, look, really sorry, this isn't something that we can handle ourselves, but I'll put you in touch with this company. They're potentially being able to look at it for you. They might not, again, because of the region, and sometimes you will face that, but it's just a frank, honest conversation, and trying to find another solution for them.
Yeah, definitely.
So that was, it's always disappointing if you can't help someone, but directly. But as we always say, if we can't do it, we'll find a way or a best, a next best solution for you.
Well, look, at the end of the day, mate, it's about the customer, not about us.
Yeah.
If it's not us that can do it, we certainly will put them in touch with someone that we believe can at least assist them or provide them further advice.
Mm-hmm. And then the last one we've got for today, which is it's been a great success story, especially for the client. So he's been working with the International Cricket Council. He's been based out of Antigua, out in the Caribbean there for the past couple of 6 to 12 months. They were introduced to me by their financial planner about 3 months ago, and they'd been trying for 3 months to get money home. So they've been trying to get money out of getting paid US dollars, trying to get it back into Australia. They'd gone back and forth for 2 months with their bank over there and their bank over here. Transactions had been blocked. They didn't know what paperwork they needed. They weren't really getting the advice or information, feedback that how to fix it or what to do. So that was 2 months of obviously stress, headaches, and trying to get money home, pay bills. The bills don't stop, unfortunately, as we know. So they were introduced. We done a bit of a deep dive in regards to, right, and this is how we would look at it. What country you're in, what country the funds are in, what country the funds are going to, the name of the account the funds are going to come from, the name of the account the funds are going to go to, and the big one around this is a source of funds. So his is from salary. So what we then done is we went through our KYC or know your client, got a proof of ID, proof of address, just the general stuff we need to set up accounts, and then a copy of a bank statement and a copy of his employment contract. And what that does to tick off from the banking side of things and compliance is we know who they are, we know how they earn their money, and we know where the money's coming from and going to. So you can see contract says X amount, we can see every month that amount's going into his bank in Antigua. We can then take those funds, transfer them to Australian dollars and send them back here. So within 2 days, we had our first transfer done, a test one of $5,000. Arrived in their Australian account the next day. Super happy, and since then we've done 3 or 4 transfers. The balance of it was finished last week. He's now back in Australia, so that was just a huge relief for them. And again, it's just as you said, it's not a cookie cutter. It's not one size fits all. With us, it's all right. Let's have a look at what you need, what you're looking to do, how we can help. And from that, I've got no doubt there'll be a ton of referrals from the cricket side of the world, which will be fantastic because they're obviously worldwide.
No, 100%. And some of those jurisdictions where the cricketers are, you've only got to look at India, for argument's sake, where a myriad of Australian players or international players apply their trade, if you like. and removing or bringing that money home either as wages or prize money or whatever it may be. So where we win is our knowledge of international sport and the movement of international players, if you like, and not just the players. We've talked about this before: managers, umpires, officials, whatever it is. We understand their trend, we understand their movement, and we can give them the what we believe to be the right general advice in setting up those accounts and moving that money back when they need it back.
Yeah. So nice. It's been a good week last week. A couple of great case studies in regards to how you can help different individuals, different situations. Big week ahead in the markets, and probably lots of volatility and movement. So as we always say, give us a call or give your own foreign exchange broker a call. Let them know that there's a big week coming up. What's my best course of action?
And that's as simple as it is, mate. I don't need to say anything more to that. That's fundamentally all we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll let you crack on with your day. I know you're going to go and practice your golf swing because you just said it was terrible off camera. So
one of the greats, as I said, mate. I'm going to turn to the other side of the clubs. See how we go.
Fantastic. Well, have a great day, Matt, everyone. And as always, give us a call, reach out to us via email, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, phone call, whatever suits you best. Speak soon, mate.
See you, mate.